Well, hey dudes, welcome back to another weird and wacky episode of World Building. I am Heath, the host, Model Monstrosities. So, in this video, I wanted to make a military-themed diorama. And one of the first things I did was I made a cliff face for the terrain. Now this is a mold I made from a large rock using 100% silicone caulk, and I think it was potato starch. Then I mixed up a casting powder. The brand I used was Perfect Cast. I dumped some on there, and after that had cured partway. I'm not 100% certain if it was all the way cured. I probably should have waited a little longer to prevent scratching, or cracking, or whatever that stuff is called. And so I peeled off some of that casting stuff, and it looked like the surface of the rock that I had molded, except it was white. And then I glued it onto a piece of foam, and then glued that down on the base. That was a base that I got for $1 at a thrift store. And I also mixed up some plaster, some glue, and some sand. I put that on the surface. It makes for a nice texture and helps blend things together. Now, before I had been doing this goop stuff on my dioramas, they didn't look as high quality, I guess. But after I started using this goop stuff, things really started working out. I got out this Hummer that I had gotten for $3 and some amount of cents from a thrift store, and I used it to roll it through the dirt to make a texture. And also I added some little terrain earlier, which was a skull and some pumpkins, I think. I also painted the surface with brown. And dry brushed it too. I painted the cliff face with a darker shade of gray. I think I was trying to go for a lighter shade, but it ended up being kind of dark. I also had blended together the pieces with some patching plaster, I think. I painted that skull too. Not that you can see it very well past my huge hand! I gave it a wash of brown after painting it a white color. I also dry brushed that cliff face with, I think, some white, or a very light gray. I also gave it a rust wash in some of the cracks, and then dry brushed it white. Now there's a little action figure sitting there. I think he was some amount of cents from a thrift store. And he was in a bag, I think, of ones that were a few dollars, I don't know. But I also painted the sides with black. I had also painted those pumpkins. And I stuck the little character in there, and I had also glued him. I did do a little bit of modifying on the paint. I painted his skin and his hair a little, I think. I laid down some glue on the base in the areas I wanted the grass to be. And when doing a diorama, I don't always like to cover up the whole ground with grass, unless I was planning to do that, but, I mean, see, usually I paint the ground brown and dry brush it and stuff, so I don't want to cover it all up. I, painted it and dry brushed it, and if I cover the whole ground, it might be kind of hard to see it. And also, I think it makes for a more realistic look. I mean, there is usually not grass all over the whole ground. And then I added some static grass. Definitely be careful if you do use a static grass applicator, not to touch any of the metal that the grass goes through while you have it on. And I hit off some of that excess grass. And there it is. I laid down some Mod Podge for the Hummer and put it on. And I believe that will be a build completed.